After learning Cantonese, I started to focus on the corresponding things about Cantonese. So until one day, I suddenly realized there's actually another practical Cantonese pinyin system besides the Yulping system. So today's video, let's talk about what this system is. First of all, let's learn about its name. And this is the Yale Romanization. This system was called Romanization, so its function should be more powerful. Because of the pinyin system or bopomorpho or other similar systems, they are always an assistance tool in order to help people to mark the soul of every character. But the romanization is a conversion of a text from a different writing system to the Roman or Code Latin script. So here's a little bit different between pinyin and romanization. Then, although I saw Yale Romanization to mark the soul of Cantonese at first, in fact, this system includes 4 romanization systems created at Yale University for the 4 East Asian languages: Mandarin, Cantonese, Korean, and Japanese. In the Pacific War, in the 1943, Yale University had a center for short-term foreign language education for military purpose. So now we must mention a man who was George Alexander Kennedy. In 1936, he began teaching Chinese at Yale University. He was made an assistant professor in 1937, associate professor in 1943. Maybe in the same year, he entered the center, and he was responsible for intensive education in Chinese and Japanese. In order to teach the language, he created a romanization as his textbooks. So this should be the origin of the Mandarin Chinese version's Yale Romanization. Additionally, I think Dr. Kennedy was a very legendary scholar in linguistics, especially in his early life. Although he was from an American missionary family, he was born in Zhejiang province, China. So he was also a native speaker of Wu Chinese. Because he was born in 1901, he experienced most of the big historical events, like the collapse of the Qing dynasty, Chinese Civil War, World War II, etc. Maybe one day we can have a video to talk about him. Then, the Cantonese Yale Romanization was created by Parker Paul Fei Huang and Gerald P. Cook. Also, Huang used his romanization to teach Cantonese to non-native speakers at Yale University. The Korean Yale Romanization was a Korean romanization created by some professors of Yale University. After Mercurius-Chava romanization was published, but the Korean Yale romanization might not be perfect because it could not reflect the pronunciation changes of Korean. And the Japanese Yale romanization also was created by the professors of Yale University and was aimed at teaching and helping the non-native speakers learn the language. Honestly, until I made the video, I finally realized it's likely I ignored many stories of these great scholars in history, like the creator of Yale Romanizations. Every one of them was a very great scholar, and we should remember them. Now, the following parts, I will take the Mandarin's Yale Romanization system and the Cantonese Yale Romanization system as the examples. The reason why I'm going to choose both languages, honestly, is because both languages are better known to me than Korean and Japanese. So finally, I chose both languages. I think maybe if in the future I can learn Korean and Japanese more deeply, I will also add the rest part in the future video. If we talk about the Mandarin romanization, that was created by the Western world. The Wade-Giles conversion was also a very typical romanization of Chinese characters. So whether both systems are the same or very similar, if we focus on the details, we will find that both actually have some obvious points. To be honest, the Mandarin Yale Romanization is like it combined the Hanyu pinyin of today and the Wade-Giles conversion, but if you can read pinyin, reading the Mandarin Yale Romanization will not be a hard thing. The only different points are that, for example, Bian is a pinyin writing method, and Bian is the Yale method. Duan is pinyin, and Duan is the Yale version. Hao is pinyin, and Hao is the Yale method. Chi in pinyin, and Chi in Yale Romanization. So if you want to learn more details, you can check this list, and I will put it in the description of this video. Speaking of the Cantonese Yale Romanization, the most obvious difference should be the marking method of tones. Cantonese tones are more than the standard Mandarin Chinese tones. In all, Cantonese has 9 tones, which includes 2 categories, 6 tones in non-stop coda, and 3 tones in stop coda. The Yüping system uses the number 1 to 9 to mark and distinguish the 9 different tones. But in Cantonese Yale Romanization system, it didn't choose the number as the tones mark, but its way is more like the way of standard Mandarin's Hanyu pinyin. So here, we can find that the Cantonese Yale Romanization has more one-tone mark than the Yüping system, in order to distinguish the high level and high falling in the dark flat tone, also known as the number 1 tone. Then, the Cantonese Yale Romanization will add one more letter to distinguish the details in the no-tone mark part. It uses H to distinguish the number 3 and the number 6 tones of the Yüping system. In the rising mark part, it also uses H to distinguish the number 2 and the number 4 tones of the Yüping system. As the same in the departing mark part, it still uses H to distinguish the high falling number 1 tone and the number 4 tone of the Yüping system. As for the stop coda tones, the Cantonese Yale Romanization will add the letter K and combine the corresponding tones to distinguish the different tones in stop coda category, and the number 7 to number 9 tone marks in the Yüping system. To be honest, although the Yüping system has more generally and widely used things, for example, teaching non-native people to learn Cantonese, the Cantonese romanization in Google Translate, and most of the Cantonese input method, etc. I think the Cantonese Yale romanization is more intuitive. The reasons are very simple. When I learned Cantonese at first, I still spent time in order to learn the Yüping system, and I had to remember what the numbers mean, the corresponding tones. However, the reading logic of Cantonese Yale romanization is more like the Hanyu pinyin. We can see the tone marks on the head of letters to read it very easily. If the mark looks like an up mark, and the tone is a rising mark as well. So, this is a brief story of Yale romanization. And thank you for watching. Hope you can like this video. Have a good day. See you next time. Bye.